What's up everyone, my name's PlatinumHowler, coach of your Coquitlam Red Gyarados, and today I am bringing you my Week 5 match of the IBL D-League versus ItzSawk and his Minnesota Twineedles. I had to start throwing my team name in the intro for my videos because for some reason, so many people find it difficult to pronounce Coquitlam. It's not very difficult to pronounce. It's exactly how it looks. Coquitlam Red Gyarados. Anyways, with that out of the way, you can see Sawk's team on the right side of the screen, and his 2Z users are Beware and Xurkitree. Now, Sawk has had a bit of a rough start to the season so far. Coming into this game, he is 0-4 with a -15 differential, so he's going to be pretty desperate to try and turn his season around. Basically has to win out at this point to have a solid chance at making the playoffs. So we need to match his level of desperation because we don't want to give him his first win and we don't want to fall back below the 500 mark. If there are a couple of things that Sawk is known for, it would be his proficiency in using Beware, the Yelich, the MVP of PCL Season 1, and also the MVP of the National League. Then there's also his tendency to bring some pretty wild sets. So going into this match, we are definitely going to make sure that we are well prepared to face the Beware, and we are also going to expect the unexpected from Sawk. With that in mind, we are going to hop right into the 6 mons that I am bringing to this game. First up, our first round pick is going to be making his return. Infernape with the Titanium Z this week. Shoutouts to Cade, aka Frostfire. He gets his favorite mon nickname this week because he's been really helpful for me lately. Pretty standard 4 attacks Infernape with max speed Jolly to make sure that we can outspeed the Blacephalon and hit it with an Earthquake. We have the Titanium Z mainly for the Beware and the Manaphy. Normally, close combat would be able to do the trick against a normal type such as Beware, but because of the fluffy ability, the fact that close combat makes contact with it pretty much negates the fighting weakness. So the advantage of running Titanium Z close combat is that Z moves don't make contact, so Beware would not get the benefit of a damage reduction from the Z move, from the super effective Z move against it. I could have ran Thunder Punch or Z Thunder Punch to Gigavolt Havoc for the Manaphy if I wanted to, but I was a little concerned with the possibility it could run Wakanberry. So we have Titanium Z as kind of a middle ground for Manaphy and then Beware as well. And it's going to hit pretty much, Titanium Z is going to hit pretty much everything on his team hard except for the Blacephalon, which is immune of course, and then the Gliscor can wall this Infernape pretty well. Since we are going up against Sawk and he has a tendency to spice things up himself, we're going to have to match his spiciness with this Skarmory set. Skarmory pretty much has to come to switch into his Mega Beedrill. I don't really have another switch in besides this Skarmory, but a more defensive and passive Skarmory doesn't really work well in this matchup, so that's why I had to bring Weak Armor with Sharp Beak and Max Attack Jolly. I have enough speed on this Blacephalon, I have enough speed on this Skarmory to outspeed a Blacephalon that is Choice Scarfed. After I get the +2 in speed from him making contact with me with something like a U-turn on the Mega Beedrill. With the Sharp Beak and Max Attack, Brave Bird is going to OHKO the Blacephalon and the Espeon if he wanted to try and switch in the Espeon against me and bounce back potential Stealth Rocks. Toxic on this is mainly for the Snorlax. That is pretty hard for my team to break through outside of the Infernape, and I don't necessarily want to be switching Infernape into a Snorlax. I can also Toxic a bulky Manaphy on the switch. I also have Swords Dance to set up in front of the Gliscor if he wants to try to wall me with that. Yes, he could wall me, but at the same time, he can't really do much back to my Skarmory, so if that's the best way he has of dealing with it, I can just click Swords Dance in front of him, potentially go all the way up to +6, and then just get a very, very powerful Brave Bird off. So far, he has brought the Mega Beedrill to 3 of the 4 games that he's played, and in all 3 of those games, he has led with a Mega Beedrill. So if I see the Beedrill in this game, Skarmory is 100% going to be my lead, expecting him to lead with that, and then I can either get Rocks up on the first turn. If he has Espeon in the back, that is not going to happen, but against pretty much everything else, Stealth Rock is a good bet to get up. Next up, we have a Life Orb Offensive Nidoqueen. It's kind of a similar set to the one I brought against D-Willy in Week 1. In fact, this whole team is pretty similar to the team that I brought in Week 1 because it has the exact same 6 Mons, just with some different sets. Sucker Punch is going to catch Blacephalon and Espeon off guard. Should OHKO both of them, barring any HP or defense investment they might have. It also is nice to have priority against the Mega Beedrill, which is very frail on the physically defensive side. We have Flamethrower over Fire Punch to hit the Beware, so we're not making contact with the Beware. It doesn't benefit from Fluffy. Flamethrower should be doing about 60 to 70% to a max HP Fluffy Beware. Also is going to be able to hit the Klefki if he wants to try and Magnet Rise against my Nidoqueen so he can be immune to my potential Earth Power. Then I have Flamethrower to hit the Klefki instead. I also have Substitute to potentially sub up against the Klefki if he has nothing to hit me. And then Poison Jab is going to hit most of the rest of his team very, very hard. The main reason why I wanted a predominantly physical Nidoqueen this week is to hit the Snorlax, which is a likely response to Nidoqueen. Snorlax could take hits from Nidoqueen very well if I was a fully special Nidoqueen, but because I am physical with Poison Jab, I should be doing a lot of damage to that thing. Next, we're going to have our Sylveon. Pretty standard Cleric Sylveon set with a less than standard EV spread. We have a Calm Nature this week to take special hits better from the likes of Blacephalon, Manaphy, Xurkitree. And then the speed and the special attack investment is basically to make sure that we can outspeed and KO a max HP Beware. Pretty self-explanatory, not much else to go over with this Sylveon set. So we'll move right along to the Dhelmise, which is going to be Assault Vest this week. With the Assault Vest and the 44 EVs in Special Defense, I should be able to survive a +3 Ice Beam from a Manaphy and retaliate with a very powerful Power Whip. Of course, we have Rapid Spin to spin away any hazards he might want to set on my side of the field. His 2 most likely hazard setters would be Gliscor with Stealth Rocks and Klefki with Spikes. Unfortunately, I can't really safely switch in my Dhelmise against the Klefki, as foul play from the Klefki is going to do a lot to my Dhelmise. But if I can get this Dhelmise in against basically anything else on his team, aside from Blacephalon, which is obviously going to be immune to my Rapid Spin and threaten me tremendously in return. And if we want to spin Rocks away from the Gliscor, we do also have the Hidden Power Ice to do around 50% to a little bit more than 50% to that Gliscor. I don't really have a whole lot on this team to actually deal with the Gliscor. I have a Skarmory that can potentially set up against it. I don't have ice coverage on my Nidoqueen, and because I don't have any physical defense investment on my Sylveon, Gliscor could do a lot of damage to me with a Earthquake. So I felt it would be quite nice to have a very solid way of hitting the Gliscor with this Dhelmise. And Mega Gyarados here should be able to handle the Gliscor fairly well as well. We do have Dragon Dance on this set, but it is not designed to be a Dragon Dance sweeper. This is not the dedicated win con in my mind going into this game. But if the opportunity presents itself and I can potentially get up 2 Dragon Dances, I will guaranteed outspeed a Scarfed Circuitry with my investment in speed. Aqua Tail and Crunch do good damage to everything on his team. The reason we have Aqua Tail over Waterfall is for the extra damage on the Beware. I want to make sure when I'm at neutral that I can 2-hit KO and max HP Beware. And then we also have Dragon Tail on this set, just in case Snorlax starts to get really out of hand and we need to force that thing out because it has too many curse boosts already. That is the team that we're going to be bringing this week against Sawk. Hopefully we can start to string together a couple of wins here as we continue our playoff push. And I will see you back momentarily with the battle. Here we are back with the battle, and looking at the team that Sawk has decided to bring, it's quite different from what I was expecting. We don't see any of his possible hazard setters. Gliscor is probably the one that I'm most relieved not to see because that thing I didn't have the best ways of dealing with, as previously mentioned. Klefki is not here for spikes, and if you consider Mega Beedrill a hazard setter, because it can carry toxic spikes, even though I don't think those work well in this matchup at all, it's not here either. And because I don't see the Mega Beedrill on Sawk's team, I pretty much know that I have to switch up my lead strategy now. Initially, I was, of course, planning on leading Skarmory, expecting a Mega Beedrill lead, but because it's not here, I'm going to have to pick a different lead now. You also don't see the Beware, which I'm kind of relieved about because I thought that would be a pretty good response to my Mega Gyarados. But that's not here, so the fact that Beware and Klefki both don't make an appearance means that he does not have a resistance to my Mega Gyarados' Crunch. And we also don't see the Blacephalon, which is one less wall-breaking threat that we have to worry about. So, in trying to pick my new lead, I decide that Mega Gyarados is my best lead in this matchup. It matches up pretty well against everything except for the likes of Serena and Circuitry, but I have good switch-ins to both of those mons. If he wants to lead with Serena, I can go straight into my Skarmory, get my weak armor boost, potentially set my rocks, get a Toxic on something, and if he wants to lead Circuitry, I can just switch hard into my Nidoqueen. And to be honest, I was kind of expecting this Espeon to be the lead here, so in that case, Gyarados lead is the ideal lead matchup on this turn. So, Gyarados is going to Mega Evolve and fire off a free Crunch, and this Espeon is staying in, but it's just going to go for a Baton Pass out, carrying on the theme of Sawk leading with fast mons with the source of momentum. And he's just going to hard switch into his Serena here to eat the Crunch, so that means that I am going straight out into my Skarmory. Don't really want to take a powerful grass attack from this Serena, so Skarmory's going to come in as he goes for a Trop Kick on this turn. Trop Kick is going to lower my attack by 1 stage, but it's also going to proc my weak armor, so I'm going to get the attack drop, then the defense drop from weak armor, and then my speed is going to go to +2. So, because I'm -1, I don't really want to go for a Swords Dance and not get any damage, off on this turn potentially, and he like U-turns into the Circuitry, because then I can't touch it. If he goes into Espeon, I need 2 Brave Birds to knock him out now, so I go for Brave Bird immediately, and he leaves in the Serena, and I knock it out even at -1 with my attack investment, which is really nice. Very, very great to have a 6-5 lead 3 turns into the game. So now Snorlax is going to come in, and I'm totally fine with that because I can get a Toxic off against it as he goes for a Curse. But then I make kind of a bonehead play afterwards. Rather than just staying in and sacking off my Skarmory and getting my rocks up, me being paranoid about the Espeon switching in on that turn and bouncing my rocks back means that I went into my Delmise to potentially put some more offensive pressure on the Snorlax, but I mean, come on, if he's a cursed Snorlax and I have a Delmise and a Skarmory on my team, it only makes sense that he's going to carry Fire Punch, so not a very smart play on my end. I basically throw my Delmise away for no reason as he kills me with 2 Fire Punches, getting the lucky 10% burn on the first one to add insult to injury. And to be honest, right there, I'm glad that he didn't just set up all over me, because he could have. he was at +1 defense and my Delmise was burned, so I wasn't doing any damage to him. But now I get a free switch into my Infernape, and I am not messing around with this Snorlax. I am clicking my Titanium Z and getting this thing the heck out of here. I don't trust Snorlax, man. I don't like going up against it. I much prefer when it's on my own team. Especially when I got 3 kills with it in my first match with it in my other league on YouTube. But anyways, Snorlax goes down, and now this is a crucial turn. Espeon's going to come in, and my switch into Mega Gyarados is very obvious in my mind. But he's going to click Psyshock anyway and knock out my Infernape. And I'm okay with this because I can now bring my Mega Gyarados in for free and click 2 Dragon Dances potentially and try to win the game. I can click Dragon Dance on this first turn, and basically as long as he doesn't switch into anything, basically as long as he doesn't switch into the Circuitry hard, which I really don't expect him to do, I should be able to get up a second Dragon Dance on the following turn and be in a very good position. As I said, I have exactly enough speed on this Mega Gyarados to guaranteed outspeed a Scarf Circuitry with 2 Dragon Dances up. So I get the first Dragon Dance up as he goes into the Komala, and this thing is definitely not going to be able to threaten me to attack him on this turn, as I can easily get my second Dragon Dance up against this. Eat that U-turn like it was nothing. This clearly is not a very attack-invested Komala. And now he's going to pull the switch into the Circuitry. I'm thinking he could be Shukaberry, thinking he might be able to live an Earthquake, but I don't even have Earthquake on this set. I'm just going for a Crunch, and that is a dead Circuitry. So now he's going to go into Komala instead of going into the Manaphy, which I found curious. I mean, Manaphy is the best, definitely the best way, his best hope of limiting an attack from this Gyarados at this point. This is not a Sash Komala, so I'm not sure why he decided to bring that in. And now he goes into the Espeon. He's still not bringing in the Manaphy. Is this a Sash Espeon or something? Nope, that's going down too. I think because he baton passed out against my Mega Gyarados after, no, he hard switched out from my Mega Gyarados after knocking out my Infernape. That might have meant that he was a Choice Spec set. So I can, I think he was definitely Choice Specs over Focus Sash. I think Focus Sash probably would have been better in this game, but Choice Spec still was pretty hard to switch into without the Mega Gyarados. So go for my +2 Crunch against this Manaphy, and it lives on a tiny, tiny amount. Goes for a Tail Glow and gets a speed boost. Outspeeds me and clicks Tail Glow again. Can't really explain why, but I am, I guess, relieved to get the extra differential point out of that. That could have potentially been really, really scary, actually. Him surviving that, getting to +3. Assuming he had Energy Ball in his set, that's what he should have gone for there to at least knock out my Mega Gyarados. But then I did have a very Spadef invested Sylveon in the back that should have been able to live anyone he hit and go for a Hyper Voice to knock it out. Or just go into my Nidoqueen, which has Sucker Punch, and pick up the KO with that thing. If I didn't have either of those options in the back to deal with the Manaphy at that point, I would have really been kicking myself for not setting up the rocks with Skarmory when I had the chance. Regardless though, we are going to pick up the 4-0 win, and GG to Sawk. His links will be in the description, of course. Make sure you go check out his side of this battle. What did we take away from this match? Well, simply that Mega Gyarados is a busted ass Pokemon. In hindsight, because the Beware didn't make an appearance, I would have much rather had Waterfall instead of Aqua Tail on my set. Against the Circuitry and the Espeon and the Komala there, clicking Waterfall instead of Crunch would have been better against all three of them. Even though Crunch was super effective against the Espeon, +2 Waterfall would have been more than enough to knock that thing out. But if for some reason one of them were sashed or survived a hit, somehow, then going for having Waterfall there would have been much more ideal, just in case either of them survived and I had that small chance to get a flinch. But regardless, Crunch was enough to pretty much blow through his entire team because he didn't have any resistances to it. I want to go back to the turn that I left my Infernape in to die to the Espeon. First of all, apologies to Frost. I brought the Infernape this week, nicknamed after you, got a kill against the Snorlax, and then immediately let it die. But I stand by the fact that I think it was the best play in that situation. Especially if he was a Choice Spec set, that was kind of a checkmate position. Either he went for a Psyshock and got big damage on anything that I had left, or he tried to predict my Mega Gyarados switch and go for something like a Baton Pass or a Reflect or a Dazzling Gleam. In either of those situations, I would have much rather gone for U-turn on my Infernape and got momentum against anything that he brought in with Baton Pass, or got that chip damage with the U-turn and then get momentum into something else. If he had gone for a Reflect, I could have brought in my Sylveon, Wish Protect a few turns to stall out the Reflect. If he had gone for a Dazzling Gleam and been locked into that, I could have gone into either my Sylveon or my Nidoqueen, because if he had gone for Dazzling Gleam and it had done an absurd amount of damage, I could have been able to tell that he was a Choice Spec set at that point. So by staying in and clicking U-turn on that turn, regardless of the play that he made, I was going to come out of it in a good position. Infernape did go down, unfortunately, yes, but I was able to bring in Mega Gyarados and threaten him by setting up 2 Dragon Dances and proceeding to just win the game. Because that's what Gyarados does. It comes in, it sets up on whatever the hell it wants, and it wins games. There is nothing you can do about it. It is just that good of a Pokemon. So good of a Pokemon, in fact, that it now leads the IBL D-League in kills through the first 5 weeks of the season. Four kills in this match adds to its previous total of 5, for a total of 9 kills through the first 5 weeks, which is 2 more to the second place Thunderous Eye from the Toronto Leaf Storms. I think it's pretty cool to have a Mon on top of the kill leaderboard through 5 weeks, especially when that Mon is my team mascot. Anyways, pretty quick game for you guys this week. That's going to be all for this video. Make sure you like, comment if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel for future IBL uploads. Next week, for week 6, we are going to be taking on Mid Pokemaster and his Kentucky Torrcats. That's going to be a very pivotal matchup with many playoff implications, I am sure. So be sure to be here for that match. And until next week, bye.